So it's Tuesday, the 14th of July, 2020, and we welcome you to a Tilt webinar with Graham Stanley, interactive storytelling games, easy to use websites and EdTech ideas for remote learning and beyond. Your hosts, I'm Helen Myers, I'm chair of the London branch. We always say thank you to Heike Philp, who helped us set things up, and to Linguascope, who support us. Joe Dale is in the room, and Joe Dale, would you like to say hello to us?
I would love to say hello. Thanks ever so much, Helen. So I'm an independent languages consultant and chief scout for the Tilt webinars, trying to ask people from all over the world to share their knowledge around how we can use technology, particularly in a remote learning context at the moment. And it's been great fun putting together the program with Helen's support, of course. And it's been lovely that so many people have been coming along and have found the webinar content really, really useful, and long may that continue. As a day job, I'm also doing my own paid webinars. So if you would be interested in contacting me about doing a webinar, either with your department or your subjects association, then feel free to ask me to do that. I've started a new series as of yesterday. We had the website All In, Alistair Harris, showcasing that. We had 300 people come along to it, which is great success. And I'm delighted to say that we've got some others already booked in as well, which I won't reveal yet until it's all been confirmed. But they've been, so I've got another 2 of those happening in the next couple of weeks, which is very exciting. And then in August, I'm going to be doing my own paid webinars whereby I'll be encouraging people to come along, and people will pay individually to attend those. But the ones I'm doing with the companies are going to be still free for everyone to join, which is awesome. In the chat, I've just put some example sessions, as I've done in other Tilt webinars. So there's lots of example sessions there to have a look at, lots of useful tools to see that you could use about, if you're not aware of all the things that are out there that you could use in a remote teaching context. And so that's a little bit about me, and I am available for paid webinars if you're interested. Over to you, Helen.
Joe, he's very, very good advertising things, isn't he? He's always talking about things which aren't yet revealed. Going
Absolutely.
To be.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Joe, for all you're doing. I'd like to do a little plug for ALL. If you are a member of the Association for Language Learning, please could you use now the time in chat to say you're a member and to tell other people that they really should join us. It would be lovely if you could. There are lots of reasons to join. Above all, it's a community. And it means that people are there really representing languages on the national stage. If you join today and become a member, you will get 10% discount if you use the code webinar10. It's been lovely to see people join as a result of these webinars. That's great. All the webinars are stored on our website, and you'll get a link to that after this. Coming soon, we've got Carmen, who's coming on July the 16th. We've got a show and tell this Saturday evening, July the 18th. It'd be lovely for lots of you to come along, just share ideas. Michelle Laroche is going to be on the 21st of July, and we've got Melissa Gould on July the 25th. There are others to come as well. Joe will be revealing them soon.
I will.
Our etiquette, in summary, we are professional and we are kind. No one ever uses our webinars to have a little rant about anything. We're very happy to host speakers and participants free of charge, and we're all responsible for what we say. So, Joe, please would you like to introduce our wonderful guest, Graham Stanley?
It would be my absolute pleasure. So I've known Graham for many, many years. We first connected back in 2006. And not only is he a very important person in the British Council, he's also an absolutely lovely bloke as well. So I think that I will let Graham introduce himself, because I know probably he'll feel very embarrassed if I say too much more. But I'm delighted that Graham has said that he can do this webinar tonight, and I'm sure that everyone is going to come away absolutely wowed on the potential of using interactive stories and games in the languages classroom. So over to you, Graham, if you'd like to share your screen. But thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you, Helen, for inviting me. Thank you for that introduction. I'm based in Mexico City. I work for the British Council in the Americas, principally on English projects. What I'm going to be talking about today is applicable to any language, and it can be easily adapted to different age groups and different levels of language learners. And the activity interactive storytelling games, I think, is something that is very easily adapted to remote learning as well, remote teaching and remote learning. So live online experiences as we are here. So I think it's something that you can do in the classroom, you can do online. It's a bit like a live listening that you do as a teacher with responses from the students. The idea is to have a story behind it to motivate students to speak and to motivate them to speak at their very maximum level, so to make it challenging for them. That said, you can do it with lower levels. I think it might be very challenging for beginners. We're going to do it in English today, but I was thinking about doing this in Spanish, but then I decided against it because I didn't really have it translated or prepared. So we'll do it in English. And I think I've got 3 or 4 volunteers waiting in the wings. I'm hoping that will help us do it. Otherwise, it won't work. So looking forward to that. So what I think we'll do is we'll play the game for 20 minutes, and then I'll speak about the design of the game, how to do your own, etc. But first of all, let me talk a little bit about interactive storytelling in general. I've got in this presentation another example, an example of an interactive story. And this is something I don't think we're going to have time to do, so I'm going to skip that. But the presentation, I should have drawn your attention to that, is available for everybody on SlideShare. So if you go to SlideShare and look for me, BCG Stanley. This presentation isn't there at the moment because I've only just sort of tweaked it, but I will upload it later today. You'll find the other interactive stories there. And as I said, I will put this on SlideShare a bit later today, so you can download it and you'll have access to the game instructions and other things that I'm showing today. So I'll be looking at one interactive storytelling game in particular called Get the Treasure and Escape the Island. It's an escape island game, not room game, if you like. That's because I'm particularly interested in that type of game as well, but it didn't have to be. And then we'll look at the techniques for presenting it and playing it with learners, what you can, and how to sort of design your own interactive storytelling game, really, which I think is where it really comes into its own. Okay, so first of all, interactive stories. What do I mean by interactive stories? Well, interactive stories I first came across many, many years ago, probably just before I met Joe, around 2005, I think. It was a teacher who was based in Japan. I'm not sure if he still is, called Mark White. He still has his interactive story website available there. And it's a guided short story. It's quite structured. It's a text story with questions. It's a speaking activity with students usually working in pairs. And the storyteller has a handout, and the storyteller starts telling the story and then stops and asks questions of the listener who provides the answers. And the storyteller can accept the answers or ask for different answers as they go along. And that's how it goes. So that was the origin of this. I got really interested in it and I decided to write my own. One of them, which is available in this PowerPoint, but we won't be playing it today, or I won't be telling it today, is called A Small Town Photographer. And that you can play, or you can tell to a class, so it can be a whole class thing, and you get responses from students, or you could give the handout to students and they tell the story. It's deliberately kept incomplete, the idea of starting a kind of mystery and then have the students, once they've filled in the details, decide on how to end the story. And it can be turned into a role play, it could be turned into a writing activity, etc. So as I said, I'm not going to do this because we won't have time to do the actual game, but that was one of the origins of my interest in interactive stories. What we are going to do is play the game. We'll play the game for about 20 minutes or so, and then I'll talk about the design, and you can also give me feedback about whether you think it would work with your students, etc. This game is called Get the Treasure and Escape the Island. And although it's an ELT escape game, it would be very easily adapted to other languages. So the objective of the game is in the title. You need to find some treasure, and escape the island before it's too late. That's the objective. The game is for 3 to 5 characters. It's a role-playing game. So what I'm going to do today is, I think I've got 3 or 4 volunteer guinea pigs to play the part of the characters. If you have, as most teachers do, more students, then what you would do is put the students in groups, pairs or groups, and they design a character. So the idea is that students don't play as themselves, but they need to adopt a role of a character. Very basic information is necessary, but you can work with the students to fill out those details so they can make the character as complex or with as much, with as much information as you feel is necessary, or as a teacher that you want to devote time to. So you can start with all sorts of things based on personality, traits, professions, etc., nationalities, all sorts of things like that if you want. Today, what I'm going to do is just use the basic information when we play the game. What you need for the game is this PowerPoint. Although it's not strictly necessary, you could play the game without any visuals whatsoever. Another good thing, because if you don't have access to a projector, for example, in the classroom, if you're playing it, although it can be played online, then that's fine as well. It could be played with just audio. You need a way of determining successful or not successful outcomes. What I've got is a bag full of red and green sticks, basically, that I got hold of, but it could be pieces of paper with yes or no on them, whatever, counters, red and green counters, whatever you feel is necessary. I've got 12 green and 12 red in there, and then you need paper and pencil. So just to confirm, Helen, I think or Joe, my volunteers are Oshia, Anna, and Paula, or have I missed someone as well?
And Helen.
And
Helen as well, sorry.
Great, so we got 4 players. Right, so are you ready, volunteers?
They're very quiet. So if you're a volunteer, could you turn your mic on if that's okay?
Sorry, mine's on now. Hello.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, mic's on.
Perfect, thank you.
Perfect, great. So here's the introduction to the game. Treasure Island. It's not that map, that's just an illustrative map. You followed the old man's instructions and you have at last found the Treasure Island. You have a map. Which one of you has the map?
I've got a map, I think.
I have a map.
Yeah, I've got a map.
Great. Okay, so Anna has the map, is that right? There's only one map.
Well, we can all see it. Does that mean that we all have it, or does that mean one of us chooses to have it?
One person chooses to have it.
Right. Okay. Whoever's got good eyesight.
So Graham, do you mean that have you sent the map to someone privately? Is that what you mean, Graham? Or
no, not at all. I mean, one of the players has a map.
Okay.
There is
would like the map.
I don't mind. I don't mind having the map. I don't mind.
Okay.
He's got to read it.
I don't recognize your voices, so you're going to have to tell me.
I'm Helen. I'm Helen. Birthday girl, la fête nationale, baby fête nat. Yes, I can see the map.
Okay, Helen, you've got the map.
Yes.
Do you know where the treasure is hidden? Okay.
I can see something that indicates the bulk, the majority.
No, don't worry about that actual map. I shouldn't put that map on the. That's just illustrative. We're playing this with our imagination, okay?
Right.
Sounds good.
Right. So each of the players, Oshia, Anna, Paula, and Helen, what you need to do is you need to adopt a name. You can use your real name if you want, or you can make up a name. You need to say where you're from, and you need to say what you do, so what your profession or job is. Okay. You also should say, you know, you've come together, the four of you, to look for this treasure on this island. Okay. So those are the things you need to decide now. What I would do is write them down. The thing that I really want you to write down is something called your secret want. So there's something that you secretly want. So you've come together to look for this treasure on the island. Now, there is something that you haven't revealed to your friends. It's a secret, and you should not tell me or anyone else that. You should write it down. Okay, so can you do that now?
This is going to
What
take
is
a
this
long
you
time,
want?
Graham.
Sorry?
My secret could take a very long time.
Well, it's up to you. It's up to you. Now, what might that secret be? Well, it could be that you are a government agent and you are you want to arrest the other people on this mission because it's illegal. It could be that you are a writer who, it doesn't really matter if you find the treasure or not. What you want to do is when you come back, you want to write a best-selling book about the adventure. Okay, could be anything really. You might decide that what you really want is, although you're with 3 other friends, you want the treasure for yourself and you want to steal it from the others after you've found it. Whatever your want is, it's a secret. And at some point during the game, you're going to reveal it, whether it be during the game or at the end of the game, and then we'll decide whether you are successful or not by me randomly choosing one of these sticks, okay? I'm guessing you're writing your I'm hoping you're writing your secret want down as we speak.
I've got several, but I can't tell you.
Don't tell me, no, just, it's important that you write it down. You shouldn't, to change your secret want during the game would be cheating. So with students, what you need to do is you make sure that they write it down and they don't change it, because that would be a cheat. And I'm trusting nobody here is going to cheat. So, Oshia, can you tell us what your name is? I mean, it might be Oshia, it might be someone, you don't have to be Oshia, you could be someone else.
Well, my name is going to be Ushia, not very
Okay.
original. And I need to tell you where I'm from.
Where are you from, Oshia? Again, you could use your real
Okay,
information, or you can
I'm from a little island in the northwest of Spain, near Galicia. I mean, it belongs to Galicia.
Okay. I should know what that name is. It Isla Cias?
Yes! Wow, you're amazing.
Well, my wife's from Galicia, so I should know things like that.
Ah, yeah, it's amazing. It's a paradise. It's beautiful.
I've never been, but I've always wanted to go.
You should.
And what's your profession? What do you do?
I am a professional ice skater.
Fantastic.
In a hot climate.
It's not that hot in Galicia, don't worry.
Yeah, it's rainy and cloudy. But okay, so Ashia, we won't go into details, but what brings you here on this? You know, how did you meet the others? And
Well, we just bumped into each other in a webinar, and we decided
nice
to go.
Professionals webinar, of course.
Yeah, the best webinars in the world, and decided to go together in an adventure because we really got on since the beginning.
Perfect. Okay, so Anna, what's your name, Anna?
Okay, well, I'm going to be Anna.
Okay, another original answer.
Absolutely.
And where are you from, Anna?
I'm from Fairyland.
Fairyland. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So you're a mystical being then, Anna.
Absolutely.
And what do you do?
I'm a secret agent.
Okay. Perhaps you don't want to tell people that.
That's true. Bit late now.
All good.
Or have you told the 3 people you're with that you're a secret agent?
I have now.
You have now, okay.
It's
So
not,
they know you,
you're not
whether you
such
like
a
it or not.
secret agent, Anna.
They know
Sorry.
you're a secret agent. So you've at least told the 3 people you're with that. And Anna, do you have anything to add apart from the fact that you all got together in a webinar?
No, not really.
Okay, great. So Paula, your turn. Are you Paula or are you somebody else, Paula?
I'm going to be Kim.
King?
Yeah.
A king of the world or king as in the name?
No,
King?
no, Kim, Kim, like K-I-M.
I thought you said Kim.
Kim.
Sorry.
I'm from the Caribbean
Yeah.
and I work in a museum.
Okay. As a curator?
Yeah.
Great. And anything to add about how you met the others?
I knew Anna from before, from a holiday she spent in the Caribbean.
Great. Okay. And then finally, Helen. Helen, are you Helen or are you somebody else?
I'm going to be a little exotic, Graham, and I would be surprised if you expected anything else. So I'm going to be Elena, and I'm based in Toulon in the south of France. It has very strong literary connections, of course. And I am actually a countess in exile after some scandalous affair. I am now a countess in exile in Toulon.
Wow. You told us that you weren't going to tell us your deepest secrets, but I think you have.
No, I haven't.
Oh, not yet. Okay, good. And how did you meet the others? Was it in the webinar or somewhere another way?
It was actually on ancestry.com. I was looking into my family history, and I started to make connections with other royal families and other people who have had very interesting lives. And I came across these 3 ladies thinking, gosh, these have had very interesting lives. And there are some royal connections, blue blood, you could say. But,
very nice. Very good. Okay, so as you see, the students can develop their backgrounds as much or as little as possible, depending on how much time you want to give them to do that. Just to check, each of the 4 of you have a secret wand, is that right?
yes.
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 Perfect. Okay, so Helen, what you're bringing to the group is a map.
I am.
You have the map.
I do.
One of the others, so either Elena, you're bringing a map.
I
One
am.
of the others, Ushia, Anna, or Kim, you have a boat. Who is it? Who's with the boat?
I'll have a boat.
Okay, so Anna, you have the boat. Okay, great. Now, the other thing that you need to do, but you decide this together now in the discussion, is there are 3 reasons why finding the treasure on this island is difficult. What are the 3 things that are going to make this a difficult thing to do?
Okay, do we say now?
Yeah, you have to decide together. So you can, someone can suggest and you can agree or disagree. Up to you.
Okay.
We've heard there's another team looking for the treasure as well, so we have a bit of a time pressure to find treasure before they do.
I also think that the terrain might be extremely difficult.
How so?
Well, I'm looking at the map and I'm seeing that there is a swamp, for example. There are several swamps. There are some mountainous regions. there are some wrecks, there are caves, so it could be very high ground, it could be very low ground, it could be very swampy ground. I'm looking also at the tidal inlet, so they could present a few problems as well. So that a tide might be very high, it might be very stormy. So I think there might be a problem with the terrain as well. And there don't seem to be very many roads, for example, or certainly people don't seem to live there. It seems to be a lot of dead people that I can see here. Caves, swamps, graves, and so on.
Okay.
So it really doesn't hold out a huge amount of hope for me.
Right. Okay, great. And the third reason why this is a difficult task?
We have a physical problem because we got so excited when we gathered to go on an adventure that we celebrated it too much, and we have been food poisoned. So we move really slowly and it's hard to find it.
Okay, so you're not feeling very well because of food poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. Now, the game will consist of 6 turns. Okay. During the first turns, there will be a challenge to overcome. And each one of you needs to write now and keep it secret, the challenge. I'll provide the other 2 challenges. So a challenge could be, for example, you lose your map.
Okay.
It could be the boat breaks down. It could be because of what you said about why this is a difficult task. It could be you find the other, you bump into the other team that is looking for the treasure. It could be you find yourself in front of a swamp and the treasure's on the other side. It could be that the food poisoning that you feel becomes particularly bad and you have to stay the night, etc., or you have to go back to the boat or whatever. It's up to you. Each one of you just needs to write a challenge now. Can you let me know when you've done that?
You just want one from each of us, yeah?
One from each of you, yeah. Don't think too much about it. Just write down the first thing that comes into your head.
I have one.
Don't say it. Just write it down. Paula, you have it. You have it.
Yes.
I've done mine too.
That was a sheer, yeah.
Yes, and someone else spoke as well.
And
Is that
me,
you, Anna?
Anna.
Yes.
Okay, great. Fantastic.
Sorry, Elena.
Right, Elena.
Sorry.
Elena. So, as I said, during each of the 5 turns, we'll randomly select a challenge, one of yours or one of mine. I'll use dice to say which one it's going to be. And then we'll decide what you want to do. Once you have the challenge, you have to decide together what you're going to do to overcome the challenge. And then I'll find out if you've been successful or unsuccessful. Now, you have 10 chances during the whole game. You can, if you're unsuccessful with overcoming a challenge, you can decide on another strategy and we'll find out if you're successful again or unsuccessful by pulling out the bag. Once you've used up your 10 challenges, that's it. So in other words, you can use a maximum, well, I would say use a maximum of 2 challenges per turn if you can, but you have a 10 in total. So if you use 3 or 4 in one, that's fine, so long as you don't use up the others for each turn. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah, that's all.
I'm trying to cope with my new identity. Graham, this is...
Okay, great. So we'll start. So you travel overnight to the island on the boat. You celebrated the fact that you managed to find this island after months and months searching by overindulging. And then in the morning when you actually arrive to the island, you're all feeling pretty sick. You know that's going to be a problem because the terrain on the island is very difficult. There's swamps, there are mountains, there are no roads. Fortunately, you have a map and you know where the treasure is. But unfortunately, you know that there is another team that you think have arrived on the other side of the island, and they're also looking for the treasure, and you think they know where it is as well. So you have a limited amount of time to find this treasure before the other team does. Bring it back to the boat and get away. Okay, so let's find out. Ashia, what's the first challenge that you face?
So our challenge is that we ran out of water and get dehydrated. And we were not feeling particularly well, so this makes things much harder.
Oh dear. So you start leaving the boat and you realize that you have no water, drinking water, and you're feeling pretty bad already. What do you want to do? You need to decide together what you want to do.
What do we do?
So we're feeling dehydrated. Yeah. What we could do is we could collect maybe some salt water, and we could heat it up, condense it, and if we have bags or some kind of container, so we could heat it using the rays of the sun, and then we could distill the water. So we have salt and minerals, but then we also have fresh water, which we've managed to distill through this heating process through the sun. So we can overcome the dehydration.
Wow, I want to travel with you.
So it is possible. It is possible to overcome the dehydration, but we need to be really clever and maybe collect materials that will help us to actually create this process. But it's possible.
Okay. Do you all agree that's what you're going to try?
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm happy with that.
That's good.
Okay. So you collect some salt water and you try to turn it into drinking water.
Yes.
Let's see if you're successful or not. Yes. Well done.
Oh, surely good.
Yay!
Hey, well done.
Oh, you see, this is what happens when you travel with a countess.
A countess with lots of survival skills, I can see.
Very
Indeed.
resourceful.
Graham, don't you believe it?
Okay, fantastic. So you've got 9 chances left. We'll move on to the second term. So you start going into the island. You start moving towards where you know the treasure is on your map. It's marked on the map. You're walking along a valley next to a river. And then Anna, what happens? What's the next challenge?
We encounter a group of bandits.
Oh dear. Are they armed? Describe the bandits.
Oh, they look a bit scary. Yeah, they're armed. Let's make it interesting.
Okay. What are you going to do, folks?
I think we should try and befriend them.
Good idea.
Good plan.
Yeah. Well, I would suggest that we pool resources and we kind of do a bit of a deal with them, because as a countess, I've got lots of jewels, I've got pearls, I've got diamonds, I'm extremely wealthy. And so what I can do is actually buy a kind of peaceful reconciliation with them. And in fact, because we're so generous and we give them all our valuable goods, then they can actually help us because they have got really good inside knowledge of the terrain. So we can actually maximize on their inside knowledge as well. So we're basically buying them, which is fine.
Yeah, and working in the museum with my knowledge of different antique languages, I identify the people from the island and I attempt to communicate with them, offering the richnesses from Elena in their language, so they're more likely to react in a friendly way.
Oh.
I'm happy with this. Well done, team.
Okay, fantastic. So the bandits approach you, you greet them, you try to befriend them, you are offering them some pearls or something valuable.
Pearls and jewels. And these were
Pearls and
left,
jewels.
yeah, these were left to me by my very errant husband. So I'm quite happy to get rid of them actually.
Okay, good. And
Is that your secret?
No, it gets better.
oh, I should say, sorry, I didn't tell you this, but at the end of every turn, if you want to reveal your secret and see, sorry, secret want, and see if it's successful or not, then you can. So just tell me if any of you want to reveal your secret want, or you do so at the end. Everyone has to reveal it at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay? So let's see if you manage to befriend these bandits and offer them sufficient.
Oh.
Yeah.
No. The bandits,
Oh.
obviously, they take what they do is they take the jewels and the necklaces and pearls and everything they offer, but they want more from you.
That's typical men.
What about if we tried offering them food and water or resources?
So what do you want to what do you want to do? You've got 8 chances left now.
Well, you said, Graham, that we're walking alongside a valley and a river. So what we could do is actually push them in. That would be one solution. If they're not prepared to take, well, they've taken everything else. So we could, yes, push them into the river. That might be one way of getting rid of them. I don't know what my lovely fellow travelers think about that idea.
We could find a strategy to do what you're suggesting by distracting them. Because of my, athlete skills, since I'm a professional ice skater, I could make them run after me, and I'm so fast and they get distracted that they're following me while you find somewhere to hide. And then at some point we do something to push them in the water.
Yeah, I think we need to work with nature and push them in the river at some point. Yes. That's the only way. That's the only way I can think of, really. So
try and offering maybe some food or water, see if they are more interested in that than in the jewels.
I think what we need to do, though, is because they've got guns, we need to somehow get the guns off them. So we need to think of a strategy of getting the guns off them. So I think I like the idea of you running very fast and distracting them, and along the way they're trying to keep up with you and they drop their guns. So we could follow you and we could pick up the guns as we follow, and then we could take them for ourselves, because we might need them at some point to protect ourselves from wild animals or something like this, or even the other team, which is also there. But I just hope it doesn't come to this.
What do you think, Anna? Anna's been very quiet.
Yeah, I agree. Push them in the river, get their guns off them.
And hope for the best.
There's a vivid imagination, to be honest.
I think now we're ready for our next challenge, Graham, because we've pushed them in the river.
Well, first of all, we have to see if it worked.
Oh,
let's hope.
So you take them by surprise.
Yeah.
They've taken the jewels and they're too busy looking at their jewels and necklaces and pearls that they've got from you. And then suddenly you take them by surprise. You push them in the river, get their gun and try to get their guns from them and frighten them away. And it works.
Well done.
Oh, go
well
girls.
Done.
Let's go girls. Excellent.
The bandits are completely overwhelmed. They start crying and they start running away, and they've left all your jewels as well. So you've got those back as well.
You see,
Well
Graham,
done.
Graham, we knew that would happen because
Well, obviously you
we
did.
thought this through. We're excellent
Okay.
strategists.
Now, I'm going to stop there, but that's how the game progresses. And the idea is that at any one of the turns, the 5 turns, any one of you could reveal your secret want. So somebody could say something if it makes sense to reveal it during the game. If not, then what happens is you get to the end of the game, right? And then whether, you know, at the end of the game, basically in turn 5, you if you overcome the challenges and you still have some chances left, then you get the treasure, and you decide together what the treasure is that you found, and then any one of you can volunteer to reveal your hidden want. So let's assume you've now found the treasure. Who wants to reveal their hidden want?
I'm happy to do that.
Okay,
Come on, Countess.
Okay, so Countess Elena, I'm actually there on an environmental mission, because on this island there is a very rare species of bird, and there are only 200 of these birds left in the whole world. And they're so precious and they're so secretive that nobody knows about them, but I do know about them because my late husband was an ornithologist and told me about them. And so this actually is my treasure. So even though you think I'm here just for jewels and money and pushing bandits over the nearest cliff, actually I'm really here to save this very, very fragile bird population. And so yes, and I've enlisted the help of a local tribe. And so this is my secret, and I couldn't tell you because nobody could know.
Great, thank you, Helena. What we have to do now is find out whether you actually managed to find this species on the island, or whether they're now extinct.
I managed to save them. I managed to save them with the help of my lovely accomplices. Oh, sorry, colleagues.
Oh no!
I'm sorry.
Sorry. What's happening? Oh no!
The bird. When you got to the island, you realised that there were less than 100. They're extinct now. So your mission has failed. Right.
I'm devastated. What can I say, Graham? I'm absolutely devastated.
I'm sorry. This is how the game plays out. Basically, it's a question of the ideas from the students, the random aspect of whether something's successful or not, negotiated strategies to overcome challenges, etc. And that's how. So you're co-creating a story with the teacher, who's providing some elements, with your other the classmates, and the random elements, and that's how it kind of works. So that's the basis of the game. That's kind of for me what make a good interactive storytelling game. So you have very much a lot comes from the students' imagination, but you need to give them enough stimulus in the background to be able to get them to do that, and then it should work.
Graham, can I ask you a question at this point?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm assuming that the students need a really quite high level of fluency at this point, or grasp of language, in order to deal not just with the linguistic aspects, the grammatical aspects, but also combine that with their imagination. So it's actually quite a tall order. I feel quite exhausted, actually.
Yeah.
And it's
I think it's a good point, Helen. I think this obviously works with higher levels. It works much better. But I would like to imagine, I've not done this game with low-level students, but I would like to imagine that you could actually scaffold this to the point where what you're doing with the students is that they're using the language to the at the capacity that they're able to do so. So you could actually provide, I've been asking for your ideas. What you could do is you could actually have prepared challenges to make it easier. So you'd have the challenges for them and limit the kind of responses. You could limit the responses. It could be a listening comprehension. So you would limit the responses to what they can provide. So, you know, even simple answers, yes, no. So it's more of a kind of listening comprehension, and you decide the vocabulary, etc. So you can do it in that way at lower levels. I would like to think that you can do that, but again, I don't know because I haven't tried it out. I think there are several things you can do to make it easier for lower level classes, but obviously the more fluency and language capacity the students have, the better this type of game works, definitely. I don't know what people think.
Can I just ask Graham in the chat? A couple of people have been saying, if you had this activity with the whole class, would it be, say, 4 students doing the activity and then everyone else listening? Is that how you'd set it up? Or I know at the beginning you were talking about you could divide the class into sort of pairs or small groups. So would you have like a number of groups doing different activities, or do you think this is in a way very teacher led in the way that you're sort of there helping them and scaffolding the language? What do you think?
If it was in a class, what I would do is I would divide the class up into groups of students, groups of 2, 3, 4, depending on, you know, so I think you can't really have more than 5 characters, and each of the groups take on the persona of a character. And so they discuss together what they want the challenge to be, if you want to do it that way, if you're not providing the challenges, if they're a lower level. And then you would do, as I've been calling upon Ushia, Anna, Paul, and Helen, you would call upon the groups or a character name to be able to come up with the responses. That's how I would do it. Okay. It's a little bit more difficult playing with a large group of people online, because some of the things they would have to, the secret ones, for example, you'd have to put them into breakout rooms to be able to do it. Things like that.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what was mentioned in the chat. You could have breakout rooms, but then you'd have to have like one spokesperson, I suppose, per breakout room to sort of lead the conversation. I mean, it reminds me of sort of Dungeons and Dragons in a way, what you're describing here.
Yeah, it's based on a role-playing game.
Yeah,
it's dynamic, definitely.
So I think that if you're going to have the language at a level, say Key Stage 3, even Key Stage 2 with scaffolding, then I think that, I mean, you know, feel free to disagree, but I would have thought it would have to be done as a whole class activity, maybe with other students listening and giving suggestions. Because if you had breakout rooms, you had to nominate a spokesperson per breakout room that was a student. They might find that a bit of a challenge. So I think that this real skill here is when the teacher sort of dumbing down the language or making the language appropriate for them to cope with the level that they're at. Yeah,
I think you're right, Joe. I think, you know, what you suggested would be the best way of doing it. That's context, definitely.
Fantastic. So in which case you'd have to be careful on how long the activity lasted, because otherwise if you're asking, say, teenagers to listen for 20 minutes, that might be a bit of a stretch, I think. So I think by scaffolding it and giving dedicated challenges beforehand rather than getting them to come up with too much of their own content. But then I suppose then that's what's going to make it really memorable for them as well. So it's just getting that happy balance, I think, isn't it?
Exactly. The idea of, you know, I think it works, this kind of game works best if you get a lot from the students. So you could either set the scene and get them to prepare the class before, for example, or do as you say, to limit the amount of language through assigning the challenges, and they still have the ability to respond as they want to overcome the challenges, etc.
Yeah, that bit I particularly like. I think the idea that the students are going to level up to the level that they're at, and so they're going to work out from the language that they know what would be appropriate for them to say? Because obviously in that example you gave, I mean, the language is way, you know, way above A level, I would say, some of the ideas, which is lovely. We appreciate Helen's probably on a glass of wine, so she got particularly lyrical, which was lovely. But I think in the GCSE class, maybe you'd have to give them more support, I think. So I think, yeah, I think I love how it can make the language memorable, but I think to ensure that the whole class was with you, that's the challenge, I think. Yeah. You're welcome, Helen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, it's the difficulty, I think, with lower levels. You need to really adapt it to make it work.
Yeah, Audrey just made the suggestion maybe some of the others could interact at some point, adding some kind of surprise, which I think is a great idea. So you could give them sort of like wild cards, couldn't you, around the class, who could then suddenly come up with like a generic surprise or challenge or what have you. That's a great idea.
Definitely. Are there any other questions? Because I'm going to have to leave, I'm afraid, very shortly, because I've got a meeting to go to, because it's my lunchtime that I've been doing this.
I'll just go through the chat now. So a lot of these are statements. Let's have a look. Right, so Fatima asked, do you do storytelling using a non-imaginary story, such as a well-known story? Oh wait, yeah. Do you do storytelling using a traditional story that they're not sort of making up, that students know? Would that be something that, or do you think that the power of this is getting the students to come up with the language themselves?
No, I think the activity we didn't look at is far more structured and scripted. And that, I know the teacher who came up with that idea used traditional folk tales from Japan, with the listeners adding details to it, so that could be done. I think I prefer it as a game where you're pulling upon the ideas and imagination of the students themselves. I think that's where you get it powerful, because when something like this is co-created, I think the students are a lot more invested in it and a lot more sort of interested. And also I've seen, not this particular activity, but similar activities where students really try their hardest to express themselves, because they have, you know, what they think is a brilliant idea. They just maybe not have the language to express it. And that is really powerful to see when students really want to say something in a language and you help them do it. That for me, I think is great.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. I think that, yeah, to me, that's the real, the beauty of the exercise, definitely. I appreciate that we're sort of running out of time now, Graham, and we really appreciate the fact that you've used your lunchtime to do this. I think that's probably, yeah. Helen, did you want to say something? But I think we're sort of wrapping up now. It's been really interesting, as lots of the other Tilt webinars have been. So thank you ever so much for making us think and putting some of us on the spot. And thank you ever so much to the volunteers for volunteering and being so imaginative and creative. It's been great.
Yeah, just to echo that. Thank you so much. And you would enjoy it. If people could open up their videos, that would be lovely for us to do a little selfie before Graham has to go. And I have so enjoyed that. I absolutely loved it, because we were listening to people as they were creating that story, and we just wanted to know what was going to happen. And we were just so disappointed that you didn't get your exotic bird counter.
I'm devastated.
Yeah. Oh, it was terrible.
I'm going to contact the RSPB straight away and report Graham.
What I would love is if any of you play this game or adapt it to play with your own students, I would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
If you know, or any other comments you have. If you want to contact me on Twitter, I've put my Twitter address in there. I'll also put my email in there, because it's other games that I've introduced to teachers, I've actually had teachers play them with their students and give me feedback on it, and have changed them because of that. And this one, I haven't had any feedback of teachers who've played it with students, and I would love to, get some. So if you do that, please get in touch.
In some ways, I think it lends itself quite well to differentiation. So you could provide lots of scaffolding, support, text, multiple choice options for those students who are quieter. Whereas I'm thinking of some of my students and I just think, they just say, I don't need that. I can say what I want to say. And they would absolutely run with it. But whereas others would be probably terrified. But then I think the experience is a good one, because one of the comments that one of my students made was, she said she loves the fact that in French I make her think on her feet.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real skill for not just school, not just college, that's everyday life. You've got to think on your feet. And so I really encourage that. So I think this lends itself. Well, I feel you've just put me through my paces. I really do.
I think it's something that also that we, to be honest, with our system, we tend not to always, if I'm honest, do a lot of creative stuff. It really is, we know what the exams are. The exams are fairly formulaic. We tend to choreography, there's choreography really for our speaking. And so something like this, I really noticed a lot of my friends who teach English as a foreign language, who don't have the straitjacket that we've got of exams and accountability, do much more of this sort of stuff. And I thought, I can't help it. I'm just going to show off to everybody that I know Graham too, from a long, long time ago, in getting involved in Second Life and virtual reality with children. And one of the most exciting projects I did with kids was in that 3D world, where I was really quite scared. I thought, well, I haven't taught them the vocabulary they need for this. But there were children who just got into it and they know this sort of world as well, and the gaming world. And it forced me then, and I've got a list of all the vocabulary which they needed for that sort of discussing with people. Shall we do that? Shall we do that? You go and let's try this, click on that.
Yeah.
Words that I don't teach them how to say click on that, but that's what they need when they're playing games. And they are playing these. I've got, some friends, some children I teach learning Russian through playing games with Russians, Yeah. Anyway, I could go on and on, but I'm very proud to say I know, Graham, that I was there and celebrated when he got his award from Princess Anne too. It was a long time ago, wasn't it, Graham? But very, very
a few years ago now.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to rush everybody. I'm very sorry I have to do this, but I've got a meeting to go to that's already started. So got to rush. But thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been interesting. And I would love, as I said, to hear from anyone who does play these games, this game or any of the others with your students.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Graham. Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause.
Yeah, round of applause.
Very good.
Thank you, everybody.
Round of applause to the players.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, thank you very much for being such good sports. Okay, bye everyone.
Take care, Graham. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. So next time we meet is Joe on Thursday.
Let me look at my diary.
Is it only Tuesday? What day is it? It's Tuesday.
Hang on. Today it's Tuesday. So on the 16th, 2 days time, we have Carmen Scoggins, who joined us for the previous talk webinar, who is going to show us lots of cool ideas about preparing for September, as well as giving us like a bit of an overview of the state of what language teachers have been doing in North Carolina, which is where she's from. And she's got lots of cool animated GIFs that will put a smile on our face as well. She's as you saw last time, those people that were here last time, she's a really bubbly person, and she's going to get everyone smiling and looking forward to September, which I'm sure we all are. And it's going to be great. So it's a must-watch session for sure, as they all are. And it's going to be normal time, so it's going to be 8 o'clock for us. So it's going to be whatever she is, 5 hours or what have you. Her time, so like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or what have you, something like that, I think. But it's going to be 8 o'clock our time, so it'll be standard time for us. And then on Saturday, we've got the show and tell, which will also be 8 o'clock in the evening. And if you haven't filled in the Google form yet, we'll certainly be putting that out there and pushing for that more. So please do share your ideas of how you've been doing remote teaching activities, either based on content that you've covered in the Tilt webinars or through your own ideas. It'd be really lovely to get a whole group of people, particularly those people who haven't spoken before. That would be amazing, so that everyone, so it's a real community. So it's all about everyone sharing ideas and everyone is on the same footing, as it were. That's what it's all about, really. I think that's what the Tilt community is all about.
I've just seen Helen's put a message. Would that be for primary or secondary? But I don't know when that message came. But everything is for primary and secondary, I think, isn't it? But I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, if Helen's referring to the show and tell, I mean, yeah, all of the content that we cover, I think, is fine for secondary and primary. But the show and tell, Helen, if you wanted to present something from primary practice, that'd be great. With Carmen's session, she's a secondary school teacher, but she'll be giving universal messages as well. So I would encourage everyone to come along.
Actually, I've just seen Helen's there. You could have spoken. I'm sort of. You got your.
Hi, Helen. Lovely to see you, Helen. But yeah, so on Thursday, yeah, it'll be. Carmen will be giving universal messages. There'll be something for everybody. But her background is that she's a secondary school teacher. But if you're interested, or if you can't come on that particular night, you can always watch the recording as well afterwards.
So I think we need to end up singing "Happy Birthday" to Helen.
Definitely.
So open up your mics. 1, 2. Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Birthday, dear
Helen.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, merci mille fois. Thank you so much. I should say diolch yn fawr iawn. Oh, thank you. It's been really good fun. I didn't realise I had such a violent imagination. Where did that come from? I have no idea.
Push it in the river.
Push them in the river. I need to find my birds. I have no idea where that came from.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Oh, thank you so much, everyone. It's been really great fun. Sorry. I'm trying to move house as well, so everything's gone. I've got no books, nothing. So
I think if people talk about having books as a statement of what they're like, you've got empty bookshelves.
I know, they've all gone. They've all been packed up and sent away. I'm feeling really denuded, actually. It's really strange not to have books.
No, you did brilliantly. You and Paula and Anna and Ushia, really, really good. It was entertaining, actually, wasn't it? It was more than a webinar. I've got this Norwegian friend, and obviously the standard is really high, but she does lots of just creative storytelling with children, just getting them to carry on the story. But the level of language obviously is much higher, but they're using their imagination as well. So
no, that's great.
Okay.
It's really lovely to have a range of ideas, isn't it? A range of Tilt webinars, all for different purposes. It's just, there's so much different things we've covered. It's just wonderful. And today was, I wasn't exactly sure what Graham was going to do, but I knew it was going to be good because he's always amazing. And just another ideas, hopefully, that have inspired you on how you can use languages creatively, which is, I'm sure, be very engaging for the students. Definitely.
We were definitely engaged.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Thank you very much for organizing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great.
And I have to let you know.
What's that?
That we actually beat the other team to the treasure. Remember that you heard it here first. We beat the other team.
Brilliant.
I'm not going to tell you what we did to them.
The
other team.
Not that we're driven by competition or anything.
Oh dear.
And on that bombshell, I think we should bid adieu to everybody, possibly.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Great fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye then.
Birthday, Helen.
Bye. Happy
Bye-bye.
birthday, Helen. Yes.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Happy birthday.
Bye-bye.
Buenas noches.
Merci. Thank you.
We should have done happy birthday in all our languages, shouldn't we, really?
Oh, Helen, that's lovely. Maybe we could record that in Welsh, in Spanish, in French, in English.
Well, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to say happy birthday to Helen in my other second language, that it's Catalan.
Oh,
Okay?
Esther, how do I say thank you very much? Is it gracias in Catalan?
In Catalan, it's gracias, and in Spanish, it's gracias. Yep.
But gracias, and I would say in Italian, what would you say? Grazie molto.
Grazie
Grazie
molto.
molto.
Grazie molto or grazie mille. I'm going to say you happy...
Tanto.
Yeah, I'm going to say you happy birthday in Catalan, per molts anys.
Oh, that sounds so lovely. Thank you, Esther. Gracias.
I've loved all your gifts and things for our antiques.
Otanika.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Your tonique.
It's a new word, or antique.
Otanika.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay then, bye everyone.
Have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.